I want to thank everybody for joining us today. This is an online information session covering our a selection of our tech and data programs here at McMaster Continuing Education. So before we get started, let's jump into our land acknowledgement here. McMaster University recognizes and acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. On this slide, we have an overview of the programs we're going to be covering today. We're going to be joined by the program manager for the first three programs that you see on this list here. These being sort of our three big data programs. We have some other data-oriented programs as well. And I'm going to be jumping in to talk about the second three and some other stuff. Momentarily, I'm going to introduce Madi to talk about the first three programs here. I do just want to take a quick sec to give people some context here, because in our recent presentations, we had a lot of people asking questions. McMaster Continuing Education is a separate business division from the main university. So we exclusively deal with our own programs. We have diploma, certificate, and professional development programs, and everything we offer is online. Okay, so every single course, every program that we're discussing today is an online course in some way, and that is true of everything that's offered at McMaster Continuing Education. So I wanted to give that context, and also all of these programs that we're talking about today, they have open enrollment. They have no application, so that means that if you feel that you are a good fit for the program, a lot of these are kind of beginner oriented, and where they're not, we'll be explaining that. But if you think you have, if you're a good fit for the program, you can just enroll in these programs. And you don't have to worry about, sending us proof of your education or, things of that nature. So I just wanted to start off with that context. And let's go ahead and have Madi come in and talk about these data programs.
Hi, everyone. I'm pleased to be here with you to give you an overview of technology program, the programs I look after them, data analytics, data science, big data programming, architecture, and open source intelligence. Data analytics program is the first program I'm going to speak about. Basically, this program is developed in partnership with Mac Data Institute Master and the Groot School of Business, and it offers different type of certificate of professional learning and full certificate. And the learning outcome for this program is how to apply statistical methods for analysis of data sets, how to collect and analyze, interpret, and share data, identify the relationship in the data, how to select and do the problem solving technique, and how to use the resource and web-based tools to test, analyze the solution. And the last item is how to employ data models in business intelligence, basically how to apply the skill and tool you learn in this program in data analysis for the purpose of solving a business problem. All right, next slide, please. As I mentioned, the courses are they're offered mostly in virtual classroom format. What that means is courses are offered in a live online classes, and except for a couple of courses, foundation of computer programming, and also working with databases. Those are the only two courses offered in online asynchronous format, which means they're pre-recorded and instructors there to curate the course content and help the students. If you complete 5 courses out of a pool of data analytic courses, later on, I'm assuming Dave is going to walk you through the website and show the course list and the schedules for that. If you complete 5 courses out of a collection of courses there, you should be able to add a certificate in data analytics. We do have another option for this. If you're already familiar with some of the courses there, or some of the courses suit your learning need better, you can only complete the elective courses there and earn a certificate of professional learning, which means it's a shorter certificate, and you should be able to finish it earlier. Next slide, please. Okay, here are some industry insights I would like to share with you. Well, the top skills you learn in this program are a combination of skills and learning how to work with different tools. For example, data analysis, SQL, Python, R, SAS, Power BI, Tableau, and business intelligence, data visualization, modeling tools are some of them we listed here. You can work in job titles after completing this program, after learning this skill. In job titles like following: data analyst, job title, business intelligence analyst, statistical analyst. Basically, most of the roles relevant to data analytics program are in the analyst level position. That means data analytic program is application level program. And the locations for jobs are all across the country. There are job postings from Toronto area, Montreal, Calgary, Vancouver, and Ottawa. And the top employers for the programs are in different industry sectors: technology, healthcare, finance, banking, public sector, and government. For example, RBC, CGI, TD, Amazon, and Scotiabank are the top employers from the job posting profiling we did. And the number of employers for the profiling research we did is 1,452. All right. So data science stream is the second stream of our data programs here we offer at McMaster Continuing Education. And it's mostly geared toward people who have a little bit of background in data analytics. And before I review the learning outcome for this program, I need to mention this, that there is a quiz posted on all our data stream programs on our website that you can attempt that quiz. It asks for your background, your educational background, job experience, and based on that, it identifies what program might probably suits your learning needs best. So this stream is, as I said, for people who have a little bit of working background with data and analytics, who are comfortable with doing coding and development work. And students in this program learn how to translate business problem into analytical problem, how to propose and refine analytical solution to business problems, how to problem solve and use the existing software tools and techniques to do the problem solving. We are trying to give students a good exposure to different industry common popular tools. And the last outcome is how to identify, test, and evaluate model structure to solve a business problem, which is the end goal of doing analytics, right? Okay, next slide, please. Similar to the data analytics stream, students can complete 5 elective courses out of the elective course pool. We have more than 5 options there. If you complete 5 elective pools, you will earn a full certificate in data science. And the courses are all running in virtual classroom format. I explained what that means. And basically that means you're going to attend the live sessions every week for the courses. If you're already familiar with some of the existing courses or skills, you can choose only 3 courses and earn a certificate of professional learning. I'm going to review the top skills you're going to learn in data science program. The skills like big data, Python, SQL, Agile, data analysis, machine learning, Java, and automation are some of the top skills you're going to learn in this program. And the job titles are, as I mentioned before, data scientist, machine learning, data analyst. Basically, most of the jobs listed here are development type job, less analyst position, mostly engineering position, and scientist position, which means people after learning these data science skills should feel comfortable to develop the specific solution for a business problem and should be able to code those type of solutions. Okay, and here is a sample of what our former students say about our program. This is one of our graduates mentioning, I was recently accepted in Bachelor of Science in Data Science and Business Analytics. The work completed McMaster Continuing Education played a part in obtaining that acceptance. I would highly recommend the value of content at McMaster and overall education. All right, so I'm going to pause before covering the big data program and architecture to mention what are the unique features of all three streams of data program we offer through McMaster Continuing Education. Basically, as I said, our instructors are practitioners working already in the field of data, and they're industry folks. They're coming from different backgrounds, from different industry sector, financial industry, retail, consulting, telecom, and they bring a good depth of knowledge using different tools that, let's say, for example, R, Python, Tableau, Power BI. And some of these tools are specific to maybe a couple of industries. Not every industry is using. This is a good opportunity to expose our students to different type of industry common popular tool and give you an overview of what are the job opportunities, what are the industry sectors they would be able to work in after graduating from the program. All right, so let's get into big data programming and architecture. This program is the most experienced level program we offer under the data program, and it suits people who have already worked in the data field, and they're more into doing data engineering job or building cloud and infrastructure. And it does offer courses in the area of cloud and in the area of working with big data. And it has a capstone experiential learning opportunity for the students just to leverage their knowledge by doing a real world industry project. And we have partnership opportunities for that, for experiential learning project. And it's not just in the capstone courses. We do offer the experiential learning opportunity through a selected number of data courses, even in data science program. Well, similar to the data science, if you complete 5 elective courses out of the elective course pool, you should be able to earn a certificate in big data programming architecture. And a shorter version of the certificate, which is called Certificate of Professional Learning, again, exists. If you complete 3 elective courses, you will earn that Certificate of Professional Learning. All courses are in the virtual classroom format, and I explained it before. That means you're going to attend the live session for the course. Here is a summary of trends in the field. What are the top skills? You'll see here, we have AWS Cloud. We will have other cloud platform covered in this program. You will have exposure to, for example, GCP, Azure Cloud, and AWS, all of them. Basically, the concepts are the same, but we are going to use different tools to cover those concepts. That's the main distinguisher between our program and some other existing program out there, that we are not focusing on teaching how to work with a tool in this program. We are using basically the tools to teach the concept and to provide hands-on experience. You will learn a good balance of hands-on experience and concept by completing this program. Concepts like big data concepts, tools like SAS tool, Python, SQL, AWS, again, agile methodology, data analysis, and machine learning. What are the top job titles? As I mentioned, big data architect, database developer, data engineer, big data developer, data visualization developer, and of course, business analytics specialist. You will see a total unique job posting in Canada for big data programming architecture stream is something around 8,249. Next slide, please. Well, the final stream that I'm looking after under the technology program is open source intelligence. Open source intelligence is basically a topic that teaches you how to leverage existing open source tools and databases to extract insight and make informed decisions. You're going to learn how to work with open source tool, how to use different tools to design and process and collect and manage data, how to automate data collection, how to recognize cyber threats and safeguard your safety and privacy online. And well, you're going to use various tools and methods to monitor online and social media sources in real time, particularly. Next slide, please. This program offers 4 courses. The first course in the program is in the virtual classroom format with live session for every week. The 3 other courses you're going to complete under this program are all online self-study courses, which means you do not have to attend any online session, live session, and you have the flexibility to work on your own pace and on your own time and capacity to complete the course. You will be able to start the Python courses and data mining course anytime you want. And after your start date, you have 90 days to complete those courses. I mean, for each course. And the top skills for this program are open source intelligence, web scraping, SQL, Python, data analysis, cybersecurity, and computer science skills. And the top job titles for this field is open source intelligence analyst, of course, trade intelligence analyst, intelligence analyst, fraud analyst, and research analyst position. But I'm going to pause here and share this, that open source intelligence skill is a complementary skill which could be applicable in different areas, not necessarily limited to this specific job titles and this specific skill set. For example, people with marketing background and with HR background can use this type of skill to do their marketing research or to come up with new ideas how to derive insight from existing information freely available on social media or other platforms. All right, I think this ends up the part for all the programs I look after, and I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Dave.
Thanks, Mahdi. Amazing. Yeah, so those were the first crop of programs, and as you folks can see, there are some really interesting programs there. Definitely represent some of the most popular ones that we get asked about. Particularly the data analytics is a big one that we get asked about all the time, and for good reason. That those being these being skills that are really broadly sought after, and kind of a cutting edge thing. So related to that, I'm gonna chat a little bit about this data governance program. So basically, yeah, as you can see what it says on the screen here, this is what you'll learn is the essential components of data management, including data quality, data security, and data accessibility. key elements for a robust data governance framework, including data stewardship, data ownership, and data governance councils, tools and best practices to help streamline the development and implementation of a data strategy. And something that's interesting about this course, this is a sort of a rare setup that we don't have in most of our programs, but this program allows you to earn a micro-credential for each course. And I want to really highlight, because I think maybe some other schools like have, maybe some more programs that do this, and we're kind of we're looking at this possibility as well. But we get asked a lot if for all our programs, if people can earn a micro credential for one course. And in most programs currently you can't. But in this program, this is the exception. You can earn a micro credential for each individual course that you take in data governance. So I just wanted to highlight that. So what does all this mean that we just read? Well, basically, I'm going to the way we'll summarize this is that whereas the courses that we talked, particularly the 3 data courses that Madi discussed so far, this program is less technical, and it's more about the really the governance and the administration of data programs. So you're learning stuff like the ethical considerations of how like a database or a some sort of like data driven or data containing system is set up. How is the data collected? How is it stored? What are the laws around this? What are the the legal and the ethical considerations? What are the best practices for taking those things into consideration? And while remaining effective in whatever it is you're trying to do. It's the data strategy, as it says there, right? And basically effective and good stewardship of that data. That's really that's really what this is about, and how it differs from the other courses. So you don't need to be technical to take this one. So that might be something that is appealing to you. So this is how it works, as I was saying. So yeah, the way it works is if you take all 4 courses for this program, you earn a certificate of completion in data governance. So that's like a traditional credential that that we have for different programs. Certificate of completion means that that means that it's a relatively short program with non-academic courses. And then in addition to that, you can earn a micro credential for each individual course. And then those are the 4 courses there: Foundations of Data Governance, Essentials for Data Governance Programs, Data Privacy, Security and Control, and Managing a Data Governance Program. So yeah, you can see that it really is focused on managing the program. That's the big overview. Like how is all this going to work, and what are our parameters going to be? Something I think this is a pretty interesting one. I'm not super technical, so if I was going to take one of these programs, this would probably be it. So, all right. And yeah, moving on to this page, this is the same kind of stuff, same kind of, pretty similar information to what was on the previous slide. So I won't read through each one of these individually, but you folks can take a look at this and get a pretty good idea. I think from the detailed description I've just given, you probably get an idea of the kinds of jobs that are relevant. Okay, so let's move on to the next program. So next we're going to talk about full stack development. So if you're here thinking like, I want to learn to code, I want to make, websites and or web apps, that is this is the program. This is the most appropriate program that we offer for that. It's beginner friendly, so you can jump into this one with no sort of coding experience. And basically the way this program is structured, I think there's going to be maybe more detail about this on the next slide, but basically this program has 9 courses in total. And they are, so a third of them, 3 of them are focused on UX and UI. Another 3 are focused on front-end development, and another 3 are focused on back-end development. And what you can also do is you can take a one set of those 3 in order to earn a certificate, if you like. So I'll let you folks sort of, read this this overview here. Give you a sec to kind of look at this, okay? And I'm going to move on to the next slide so we can talk about that in a little bit more detail, how it's actually structured, okay? So yes, as I was saying at the start, all of the programs are online. Now we do have something that Madi alluded to earlier, talking about virtual classroom courses, is that, yeah, we do have a few different types of online courses, right? So while some courses are offered in the virtual classroom format, a lot of the courses we offer are done in an asynchronous format that we just is simply named online. So when you see courses on our website that have a yellow tag on them that says online, that's what it's referring to. It's saying that this is and we have there's a page on each program, or there's a link on each program page as well, called Learning Formats, where you can learn about that in more detail, and I'll show you that in a little bit as well. But so yeah, they're all delivered in that asynchronous online format. And like I was saying, you can do 3 courses, like you can do a certificate of 3 courses, right? And you can, or you can choose to do the full diploma, which is all 9 of those courses, right? And again, 3 in each section, UI, front end, and back end. And another thing that is unique to this program is that it actually allows you to do all 4 of those credentials if you want to. So it is possible to do one certificate, apply to graduate, get a certificate of professional learning in front-end development, for example, and then do the next 3 courses and get a certificate in UI, UX, and then do another 3 courses and get a certificate in back-end development, and then apply to graduate and get a diploma. So you get 4 credentials for 9 courses, which is frankly pretty wild. But that is a thing right now, and that's something you can do if that interests you. So it's a very economical way to add a bunch of credentials to your resume. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely take that into consideration. So, did you know that the demand for full stack developers is projected to increase by 16% from 2021 to 2031? Well, you probably did know that, because everybody talks about how it seems to be pretty right, common knowledge at this point, how huge the various industries are that employ programmers, and expanding all the time. So yeah, Mariana, a recent graduate, said that the courses offered are invaluable and are taught by the best of the best. Completing courses at McMaster Continuing Education will only put one at an advantage when it comes to obtaining and retaining a job. Awesome. Yeah. So there you go. And there is one happy customer. So these are the top skills, listed here. These are the top skills in the field, right? So full stack development, UX, user interface design, agile methodology, information architecture, user research, problem solving, innovation. Of course, these different programming languages, obviously, an Adobe Creative Suite. The program does touch on Adobe Creative Suite a little bit as well. It's a very, it's definitely a program that is very oriented towards making flashy and capable and modern and impressive, sort of web platforms and such, right? So yeah, top job titles, UI, UX designers, design leads. As you can, UI is massive. Like the top job titles are all in UI for this. And of course, certainly no shortage of positions for say back-end developers either. It's just, a truly massive field with UI folks, really eating well right now. So here are some other we focused on the certain programs today, but these are a bunch of other tech and data programs that we offer. We have Health Analytics, which is a short program that is kind of a like kind of data analytics like program, but with a real focus on health industry stuff. So if you want to work in health industry and do data analytics and you want like a shorter program, then this would be a great option. We have a privacy management program, which, as you would guess, focuses very specifically on privacy. Um, and we do offer corporate training as well. So this is just for like, this could really be a lot of different things, but basically, if you're looking at our offerings and thinking none of these are quite the right fit, but I would really like to have a bunch of colleagues, a bunch of my employees come in and learn a specific or learn something from Master Continuing Education, you can contact us about that, and we will talk. We have EdExpress programs, which these are just, fairly casual, general interest programs on fun stuff like, the history of rock and roll and that kind of thing. We have Ed2Go and You Got Class. These are learning partners who administer some courses that we have basically partnered with them on and kind of approved and make sure they are up to McMaster standards. But they are administered in a few different interesting formats and a lot of like pretty granular topics. Some of those include like SQL courses and Power BI and things like that. And they also have AWS courses as well. Those are some different options. Many of these can be found on that tech and data program page that I showed you in the browser a couple minutes ago. Oh yeah, so here's I was talking about corporate and professional training, and here's the details on that. So yeah, basically this is just what I was saying. Tailored courses to meet your organization's needs if that's something you might be interested in. Good thing to know about. We're always interested to talk to folks about those possibilities. And I want to do a quick little note on micro-credentials. A lot of people not really sure what this is about, and so I'll just briefly explain that micro-credentials are electronic credentials that often are issued for, well, like I said, with that data governance program, for example, in that case, you can get a micro-credential per course. And then for for some of our other programs, for some of our certificates of completion, for example, the certificate of completion is delivered as a micro credential. So basically, like instead of like emailing you like a PDF of your traditional diploma, it actually includes this. It's delivered to you instead as a micro credential, which to define that is basically a blockchain digital item that you own and that you can put on, say, your LinkedIn. You can put it on on your personal website, on the electronic version of your resume. And what it does is it doesn't just verify that you earned the credential and sort of leave it up to you to describe what that credential entailed, but it actually allows people to look at details and show them these are the specific skills that this person learned, right? So that's kind of what is, interesting and useful about these micro credentials, aside from the fact that they are generally, short and sweet, which is also, something that a lot of people like. So there are some programs listed there that are examples of some of the programs that we offer that do offer a micro credential. So financial assistance, one of the most common questions as we get is, can I use OSAP for my courses? The answer is no. You can't use OSAP for continuing education courses unless they're essentials courses, which is a special category that we're not really talking about in this presentation today. But for the vast majority of courses that we offer, OSAP is not available, but this slide here is all about the alternative funding options to OSAP. So if you were thinking that you wanted to get OSAP, and you are looking at taking an academic credit course, which includes like all those data, those three major data courses that Madi talked about, for example, or full stack development, for example. And if you're looking at that and you were thinking of applying to OSAP, well, this would be a good alternative for you. Okay, so there's this McMaster Association of Part-Time Students offers a bursary, or for continuing education that students, it's called the award. And if you go to the funding webpage on our site, this is going to be the first option that's listed there. This is not like, it's not identical to OSAP or anything. I'm not going to say that, but it does sort of look at look at kind of similar financial eligibility for the person applying. So it's something I would say, it makes sense to look into and see if you might be eligible for that. Um, and then you can also look into external things like Canadian/Ontario government funded subsidized training options like Better Jobs Ontario, or the Canada Ontario Job Grant. There's links to all these things on our website, by the way, and I'm going to show you the web page in a sec where you can find this stuff. And so it'll link out to these programs so you can find more info about them. Windmill microlending is loans for skilled immigrants and refugees. So if that's something that might apply to you, that's a good thing to look into. And of course, you can always, a lot of our students actually do get their courses paid for by their employer. So, if you're fortunate enough to be in that position, a lot of employers are interested in paying for some training. And of course you can look into traditional methods like getting a bank loan or line of credit, or RESP. People come with that often as well, things like that. And here I'll take the moment here to show you exactly where that is on our website. I'm just going to go to my funding bookmark here, but if you look around um, in support services or help center, I believe that's where you'll find this link. But yeah, this is the web page on our website, and you can see these actually like link out to these different funding options. So that is a good that's where you want to go if you need funding support. So moving on from that, we're almost out of time here, but I just want to give a quick little more detail than I gave at the start about registering and what's required. So like I said, all the programs that we've talked about today have open enrollment. You do not need to submit an application for them. You do not have to send us documentation related to your past education or related to your English proficiency, okay? The way this works is that the onus is on you to make sure that you are an appropriate match for the courses that you're registering for. A lot of the ones that we have talked about today are totally beginner friendly, with a couple of exceptions like data science and big data architecture, right? So that is on you to be sure, to just make sure that you have good English skills, and just a little bit of experience, whether that is this actually is an either or situation. So you don't actually need to have an Ontario secondary school, that you can have an equivalent Ontario secondary school. So like basically high school from somewhere. And in lieu of that, you can, if you've been out of school for a while, you can be a mature student. So these are and mature student just means you've been out of school for a couple of years. Okay. So that's what that means. These are the baseline requirements for all programs. And then there's some programs, none of which we discussed today, which do have applications, and they have additional requirements, and those are made clear on those programs. But yeah, if you want to register for any of our programs today, it's basically this, and then sort of beyond that, kind of use your best judgment. And if you have any concerns or uncertainty about that, then reach out to us. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly show you here. I'm going to give you a very quick example of how to register. So let's say that you are wanting to take a data analytics course. We'll just go with that as an example. Okay, so I'm going to go to let's so you might start off with this one if you're doing data analytics, DAT 100. So I'm going to click on that. Okay. And you're going to see this is the offering that's currently available. It's the one that starts January 13th. You can see important information here, like the date range and the price. Okay. By the way, almost all of our courses do not charge any tax on top of this price that you see. So like that is the price. Okay. And there are a few courses, there are like a couple of data courses that do require additional textbook purchases. Many do not. But yeah. And then you're just gonna add that to cart. And then once you add it to cart, you're gonna go to your cart and you're gonna check things out, and then you're gonna proceed to checkout. And if you are purchasing more than one course at once, that's fine. You can do that. And keeping in mind, what the time commitment for these courses is, like Madi was saying earlier, like 6 to 9 hours a week on average for these courses. So just, keep that in mind. And yeah, if you wanted to add another thing to your cart, it's just like you're buying something on an e-commerce site, right? Do the same thing, add other courses to your cart and check out. And that is going to take you through an account creation process. If you're new, if you're a returning student, it'll also, it's also a prompt to sign in if you have an account already. And that's how that works. And you'll get emails and instructions as you go along in terms of how to access the content and so forth. In fact, we may even have a couple of slides on that. We are running out of time, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on these questions, but I've kind of been going over that anyway, right? So you can see when you look at the courses, what the cost is, what the duration is. We went over how to apply, and how do I begin my course? I'll talk about that in 1 second. Why are certain courses showing as unavailable? Do we have any examples of that here? Here's one. So like, for example, right, DAT 105 artificial intelligence, that's currently not available. Well, that just means that it's not running right at the moment. But if you look at the schedule tab, we can go down and we can take a look and we can see that this course, DAT 105, actually is just finished running in this fall term, right? So that was available here. I'm not gonna take a guess as when it's gonna next be available, but sometimes you can look at what the trend is for to maybe get a guess, right? But because right now we only go up to, I'm not sure if I might have scrolled by that too fast, but these are the terms that we're talking about here, right? So yeah, this column being fall 2024, and we go up to spring summer 2025 right now, and this gets updated periodically. It gets updated a few times a year as we sort of move ahead in planning out our schedule. And how do I start my course? Well, the way that's going to work is you're going to get an email that you're going to get a few emails when you register. They're going to walk you through the process. They are going to send you a link to an important page that is it's called the Getting Started page, or it has like a Getting Started as the header at the top. Like I said, you are going to get a link to this, but here it is, Student Journey. You can, if you can't find that link, you can find it here as well on that path I just did. So Help Center and then Student Journey. And then this page has kind of an overview of the steps and the things that are involved and the basic like the platforms that we use like Avenue to Learn, Mosaic, etc., kind of helping orient you and all that. We do have an orientation session every term as well to kind of help with new students and understand what is going on. So that is something you could plan to attend as well. I'll let you know if you have more, if you think of a question afterwards and you're like, oh, I wish I'd asked that, go to contact us on our webpage. This is the contact form, okay? And let us, fill this out. Let us know what your question is. Myself or one of my colleagues will be, answering that. We're on this on this full time. So yeah, let us know if you have questions, and we'll be happy to help. So I will probably wrap it up there. So thank you again, everybody. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. All right, take care now.